right, welcome everyone. Welcome to our 5th episode of Travel CEO Sessions. My name is Sunday Gardner. For those of you who do not know who I am, before we get started, let me say hello to all of you all that have joined us live. If you just let me know in comments where you are watching from and what are you drinking this afternoon. And Jazzy D, it is so awesome to see your name. Thank you for the compliment. How are you doing? Let me know where you guys are watching from. I am in Georgia, in Stockbridge, Georgia, drinking water. So let me know in comments where you guys are watching from. And I always want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy days to meet and have lunch with me as we go through some very important topics about your business. So we've got someone from Fort Worth. Hey, Denise, nice to have you, H2O. We've got Yolanda watching from St. Louis, Missouri, St. Louis. We got another one. So Rhonda and Yolanda, you guys should get together. You're in the same town. April, Houston, nice to have you on. Tanya, Florida. Nicole, you're watching from Nashville. Thank you for joining. Dottie, nice to see you. Rhonda from Tennessee. Tamika, thank you for joining us. And Jazz, nice to see you. I haven't talked to you in a while. I have to catch up. Tacoma, we've got Angela watching from Hampton, which I think is right around the corner from me. Louisiana, Tish, nice to have you. Elizabeth, nice to have you on from the UK. And Latanya and Jamila and Kathlena. So thank you, ladies, all of you all for joining me live. Today, we're going to be talking about the dangerous myth that's keeping most travel advisors overworked, underpaid, and headed straight for burnout. How many of you guys are feeling that today? So by the end of today's session, it is my goal that you have a clear blueprint for scaling your travel business without sacrificing, unfortunately, your health, relationships, and your sanity. This isn't about working harder. So I'm not interested in getting you to work harder, because what I know about you travel advisors, you guys are already working harder. We're going to be focused on the systems that you need to build that will work harder for you instead. So if you feel like that's you, then today's message is for you. So today I'm going to be revealing what I call the anti-burnout growth framework, that for most travel CEOs like yourself, you're going to use this framework to help you scale your business, double where you are today without having to double the amount of hours that you are working. But I always like to start with the story. So I have a previous client, her name is Renee, and she used to be, like I guess before I even started, like, how many of you guys are out there working 60-hour plus work weeks? You're doing this full time. And if you're not doing this full time and you're still part time, maybe you're putting in 20 hours a week. You're, every waking moment you're doing this business. But my client that I'm referring to, she was full-time in the business, and she was, she went from 60-hour work weeks, which, I'm a bit of a workaholic. I can absolutely relate to that, to actually decreasing her time to about 4 days work week and increasing revenue to about 35 to 40%. I'm going to show you the 3 critical systems that you need to have in your business to implement before you even think about growing your business. So if you're thinking about, listen, all of that sounds great, and I want to grow my business, there's some pre-work that you want to make sure that you have in place. So let's talk about this sort of dangerous lie that exists in the travel industry right now, which is that you've got to keep selling. You've got to have this sort of hustle mentality, and you've got to sacrifice everything in order to be successful. Working nights, you got to work weekends, you got to skip vacations, or you got to have a lot of work vacations, workations as they're called, right? And this really is sort of a natural part of the business. Like, this is what we may be doing, this is what we see others doing, and we think that this grind is natural. The problem with the grind is that it comes at a price. And it's not that this mentality is wrong. It's that it's destroying your business and it's destroying your life. I could tell you my personal stories in terms of what being a workaholic has done for me, my family. I'm not going to go too much in detail of that, but what I will tell you is that if you are experiencing all of that, this is a lie that we can change. The truth is that if you want to grow your travel business or any business that you have for that matter, it's very difficult to grow or to scale it when things are chaotic. You can't grow a business that depends entirely on you. Because if you have a hiccup, you sneeze, you get sick, everything grinds to a halt. And so we definitely can't build wealth when you're exhausted to think strategically. And I'm dealing with a lot of women. Maybe there are some men that are watching this or may watch this. But as a woman, as I'm a woman, right, and as most of the people that are on are women, we tend to take on a lot more, right? We are usually the main house organizer of our house. We probably organize the travel for our family. Not only that, mentioned to others to keep the glue. We are that glue. But here are some sobering statistics that I want you to think about. 72% of travel advisors report that they work more than 50 hours per week. 64% say they haven't taken a real vacation in over a year. So I'm not talking about a fam trip. I'm not talking about a work trip that you're going to go see and maybe you're having a little fun, but it's really still work. You got to make sure you get all the content. I'm talking about a real vacation. 83% handle client emergencies during their personal time. And meanwhile, we have 5% of the earners in our industry working an average of 32 hours weekly with clear boundaries. Where are you in that equation? Are you the one who's working 50, 60 plus work hours? You've not taken a real vacation that doesn't require you being tied to your laptop? The difference isn't because you have a poor work ethic, or maybe the 5% has a poor work ethic and you have a better work ethic. It's really around systems. And so what I want to really share with you today is that I'm not here today to talk about your dedication or your expertise, because I'm going to assume that all of the people that are live and those people that watch me later, that they have the dedication and the expertise to do what you do in your business, right? You've built it. And you know what you're doing. The problem is that what you've built, and I had someone tell me this years ago that, when you are an entrepreneur and you're doing your business either as your second job or your primary job, is that you really haven't built a business, you've built a job. And you have a horrible boss and it's you, right? And so without the proper systems and workflows, every new client becomes another demand on your very finite time rather than an asset to your business. And what we really want our clients to be are assets, right? It's not another drain of your time, another thing that you've got to get done that becomes another thing that you need to add to the already long list of things that you've got to do. Today, we're going to change that fundamental equation and talk about what we need to do. So I'm going to let you guys let your fingers do the walking. And I have launched the first poll. What is your biggest obstacle to scaling your travel business right now? Is it too many manual processes, no clear client workflow, inconsistent marketing, can't unplug from the business, lack of financial tracking systems? Select which one is there. So inside of, if you're in the Zoom meeting, if you could just answer that. When we get to about 50%, I will end it and I will let you know what the results are. I always feel like I need to do the Jeopardy music. I need to get that. Maybe I'll get somebody to get that music, although I don't want to get in trouble for playing copyrighted music. All right, let's see where we are. We are right there over the 50, we're at 70%. I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to tell you what the winner is. All right, so the winner is, in terms of what you guys are struggling, inconsistent marketing that depends on daily effort, right? That's 60% of you all feel that. And then we've got a tie on too many manual processes at 40%. Those numbers don't add up. Like 40 plus 40 is 80. 100% of you all answered. Maybe I'm just reading this incorrectly. So the second largest answer is too many manual processes and no clear client workflow. And then the other two answers came in as the last options. So really what it is that you guys are doing a lot of marketing, manually, daily, right? Question I would immediately have is that real? it allowed multiple boxes to be selected. Thank you. I was like, that math doesn't add up. So Tamika, thank you for that. I was like, that math so it doesn't add up. So we just set up the poll wrong. So we'll take a look at that. So I was like, that doesn't make sense. Tamika, you must have saw the confusion on my face. It's like, that math is just not mathing. So I appreciate that. But even with the multiplicity of selection, what is clear is inconsistent marketing is the number one struggle for the people who are on the phone, with the close second being too many manual processes in the business, and then you have a clear workflow. And we can solve that, and we're going to talk about that today. So let's talk about Tasha, one of my previous clients. She was a luxury travel advisor. She actually was out of Atlanta. And when she joined our program, she was booking about a little less than $500,000 in annual sales, but she was doing it at a cost of 64 hours work weeks. That's her average work week. She's putting about 65 hours a week. She was answering client texts at all hours of the night, right? All hours of the day, right? When people are traveling, she's answering texts. When they're, she's answering sales texts. She's answering all sorts of texts. She created every itinerary that she did it straight from scratch. She handled every detail personally. So her sales absolutely showed it, right? Her income was good. She was at about 85,000 take home. But here's a problem. Her health was suffering. She had gained 30 pounds, right? So I'm going to talk about the non-tangibles that people are really not talking about, because I've been there. I've been 50 pounds overweight. I have been sick from working too many hours and not taking care of myself. Back problems. I mean, I could go on, right? Her sleep was poor. Her relationships were strained, right? Does any of that sound like, let me know in the comments, are any of you guys experiencing that in your own life right now, although you're making great money in your business, and it's coming at a cost, right? I remember my grandmother used to say many years ago, she's like, all money is not good money. Say that to the bank account, right? We still want the bank account to bring in what it brings in, but I certainly don't want to be sick on my bed. I certainly don't want sales to significantly drop. When I do happen to get the flu or something happens. Every time we go out of town, I'm wondering if I'm going to come back to an empty bank account because nobody's answered texts, or I'm not really enjoying the vacation because I'm answering texts. How many of you guys are experiencing that right now in your business? But after working with us for about she worked with us for about 3 months and implementing what I'm going to teach you guys today, she created some core systems. One of the 3 core systems, she created a client onboarding workflow, a supplier management database, and an itinerary templating system, which allowed her to free up some of her time. So the results of what she was able to get is that her working hours dropped. She went from a 65-hour work week to a 38-hour work week. Her client response time improved by 40%. So one of the things that's really critical to your sales and your process is to be able to turn around the way that you respond. Her conversion rate. So from the time somebody said, I want to go out of town, or I'm thinking about going out of town, to actually booking with her increased from 60 to 78%. These numbers are important numbers for you to know in your business so that you can also start to influence them and sell. But more importantly about Tasha's story is that she took her first 2-week vacation in 3 years completely unplugged. Let me tell you. How many of you guys have taken an unplugged vacation? I would say I did my first one last year. We did Bali. I went to, it was still sort of a work vacation because I went with some travel advisors, and I did not take a laptop. I had my tablet. I think I opened it at night when I couldn't sleep because of jet lag, but that was it. Took the second unplugged one later on in the year, went to Jamaica, unplugged. And so the amount of genius I was able to come back with in terms of strategy, my brain being free to be able to do and think clearer, was because of that unplugged. So it's not just that you want to have fun and you need to have fun. It allows you to be a better you, right, to your family and to your business when you are able to go and actually disconnect. So I am now for the entire digital disconnecting, right? So I go on vacation. I'm not even really taking pictures, right? If I can't remember it, I mean, I'm taking a few, maybe when we're on the plane, but I'm not tied to the phone, because if I have the phone in my hand, I'm checking email. I'm checking all the things that I'm not supposed to be checking. So I actually need to probably go back to a camera, like a regular old camera. Like, how do you guys feel like about that? So this is what I want to say. This is where some of you guys are saying, you have been able to do an unplugged. Some of you have said you've never been able to do that. You wish that you could. Should be the goal, right? That should be the relationship goal that you have, is to be able to disconnect from the business in a very powerful way. And what I mean by powerful way, where the business doesn't suffer from you disconnecting, your clients don't suffer, your family and your friends get to enjoy you, and you get to enjoy yourself while on vacation. Here's what nobody's really talking about in the travel industry, and they don't want to admit, is that most advisors aren't really building businesses. They're creating elaborate traps for themselves. And I've done it. I've created businesses, or what I called businesses, but they were really elaborate jobs, and they were jobs that sucked. Like, they weren't even jobs that I liked, right? So I've created many businesses, and ultimately they were jobs where I was a horrible boss to me. And if I was working for me in the state that I wouldn't want to work for me. Like, if I had worked for me in a corporate setting, I would want to leave, right? So those are the types of jobs that I've created. Every new client became another person who depended on me personally. So it felt like a burden, not excited about doing it. So maybe there was parts of it, but really holistically, the business of my business was not exciting to me, did not float my boat. And so every booking becomes another potential emergency only you can handle, because you don't have a process by which to handle emergencies in your business. Every success creates more demand on your limited time. Without the proper systems, growth becomes a punishment, not a reward. And that is what we do not want. So everybody says that they want 6 figures, right? I was working with our foundation students yesterday, and we were talking about the numbers and what it takes for them to hit their goals. And it was a big aha moment. But one of the things that's super clear, particularly if you're with a host agency, if you want to be a 6-figure earner, right, and you're not selling at pretty high or ultra high rates, average amount of gross sales needs to be $1 million. $1 million by oneself can be achieved, but it certainly can't be achieved with you doing everything, right? So when I say by yourself, you cannot be the only person doing all of the things that need to get you to $1 million in gross sales, to ultimately 100,000 in net sales, right? Here are 3 points that I really want to go through in this anti-burnout growth framework. This is really the foundation for you all to really be able to grow the business in a way that isn't going to lead to burnout. So the first one is, you need to have systems in place before growth, right? A lot of people will tell me, oh, I need to automate. I need to automate this. I need to automate that. Automation is a buzzword. It's a buzzword that we are all very familiar with, and we think it's sexy, just like business cards. And so we think we need to get it, but you don't have anything to automate yet. You don't have a system. You have a business process that you need to do. So systems before scale simply means that you want an operational foundation infrastructure before pursuing any sort of automation or growth. Does that make sense? Like, you got to have something there. It's not negotiable for you to try and automate something for which you don't have a business process around, right? And so let's say you guys are operating at gross sales of $250,000, or even if it's 150,000, and you want to double your business, right? Wherever you are in your business, if you're at 50,000, you want to double to 100,000. You're at 100, you want to double to 200,000. I don't care what your number is. If you want to double the process, in order to do that, you can't keep doing what you are doing today and it be efficient, right? Particularly if you're at every way but east, right? You want to double the business. That means you're going to have to be more efficient at what you're doing. Instead of immediately pursuing new clients to think about doubling, you got to see what you can build in terms of your client management system. And what I mean by that is, let's say you average 5 clients right now. Maybe you're working the business part-time and you want to get to 10 clients right now, right? What are you doing right now that you do to manage the 5 clients that you have. How is your life going to change if you had 10, you doubled that and you had 10 people, right? What do you need to do? You've got to process potentially. You got to first understand that you have a process, and then you've got to change it. And so we're going to talk about the next step, which is process documentation. This is the dreaded thing that nobody wants to do, but I had a coach tell me years ago, his name is Mike Mark, sales coach. And I did a day with him, and what he said is to me, because I was like, Mike, it's like Mike, I was like, I got too much going on. I got way too going on. I got a team, but I got this, I got that. I was like, stop, Sunday, stop. He goes, and I said, I'm afraid to hire people because I was serious. This is a story, like legitimate story. Like last year, so this was like several years ago, and I had just recovered from some major illness. I think I had surgery on my thyroid or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I had a big team and it all crashed and burned. And now I feel like I'm stressed out again. I'm working like 60, 70 hour work weeks. And his thing to me was, you need to pay. And he's like, the reason I don't hire a team, Mike, is because if I hire a team, I got to tell them what to do. And then when I tell them what to do, they don't know what to do. And his first question to me is, do you have it documented? And I was like, no. Like, that's exactly what I was like, no. And he's like, Sandy, you got to pay the tax. And I was like, pay the tax? What do you mean by that? He goes, you need to document what it is that you want. You got to document the amount of time that you're spending on a thing so you can even determine what is worth you outsourcing or having someone else. Because there is a genius that you provide, and anything that you aren't doing that isn't that genius work, you need to consider outsourcing it. But before you do that, you have to pay the tax. And that is what process documentation is you got to pay the tax. If you want to think about getting up under 60, 70 hour work week where you're everything to everybody, even if you're a one person, one woman, now, if you envision on bringing on a VA to do anything, you've got to pay the tax. And paying the tax is documenting what it is that you want. And this involves creating clear, repeatable workflows for every core function in your travel business. And so and so to me, I was like, wow. So every time I was literally like, that sound like, and I'm a process person, like that's the core. My background in IT is in process documentation, process requirements. So I immediately understood what he meant by that. But then, I'm a plumber in my own plumbing, right? I'm like, yeah, I know I need to do it, but I don't want to do it. But every time I think about bringing on or doing something I don't like to do, I think about, did I pay the tax? Have I paid the tax in the business? Have I documented what I want? And before I hire anybody, I absolutely give them a SOP. We walk through it. We go through, I usually have a video recording that, of the process that they need to do. And that is what I do. And so this process documentation is probably one of the most important things that you need to do in your business, because everything that you're doing today is not everything that you should be doing tomorrow, right? And if you want to start to go on vacation, you want to start to grow the business, you're going to have to think about what that looks like in terms of getting help in the business, either permanent in-house or you hire a company and they do that fill in the blanks. So, I had one of my clients that when I introduced this whole concept of documenting her business, she started with documenting the exact process for qualifying a client, supplier selection, and post-booking follow-up. She documented those 3 processes. This allowed her to train a VA who could handle 60% of those tasks, right? Now, I've been VAs in the Philippines since 2016. One of my she's now my right-hand person. Jam's her name. She's been with me since 2000. I want to say it's 2016. She's been with me. And I've gone through a lot of VAs in my life, but the idea of hiring internationally was not as popular or known as it is now. The problem is I get a lot of advisors who are like, yeah, I get a VA, but they didn't do what I wanted them to do. And the first question I ask is, well, what do you want them to do? Well, I told you this and they didn't figure it out. Well, you told them, but you probably don't even have it figured out. So what is it that you told them? Documenting these processes that you want is the first step before you hire a VA. You can get a VA from the Philippines. You can get a VA from Pakistan. I mean, these are where my VAs. You can get a VA from India, and it'll be significantly cheaper for you from a dollar perspective than if you hired someone in the United States. But they cannot strategically define your business for you. You have to do that. They are not going to magically know what's in your head about how you want to meticulously get things done unless you document it and you explain it to them. So you have to pay the tax. Like, there's no other way for me to say that. You've got to pay the tax. You want relief, you got to pay the tax to get the relief. That's the cost of getting the relief. All right, the third one is strategic automation. Like I said, we don't automate everything. We don't start with automation. We end with automation. We do the thing that we want to do first. We document what it is that we want to do. We determine if it's even worth automating, because there is a cost to automation. There is a cost to automating a thing, which is, one, you need technology. Two, you need a very sound process. Potentially, you need integration. There's a cost to it. It's not cheap to automate things. So if you're in love with the concept of automation, but you have a chaotic system and a chaotic process on the front end, automation is not going to solve that. Frankly, what it's going to do is piss you off, right? So what we want to do is we want to automate those things, because there's this sort of trade-off that I say that you have. You could hire a human person initially to do repetitive tasks, or you can have a system do it for you. And in most cases where you all are, depending on how tech savvy, you may want to have a person do those repetitive tasks, right? Until such time it becomes cost prohibitive, and then you get a system to do it. Not everything should be automated. Things that are natural automations you should do, like email reminders to attend an appointment, or to, you've got a discovery call that, or, your reminders that you send out for your client books. Those are sort of repetitive things that you don't need a person to do. You can set up a system to do that, because it's a one-time setup. You don't need it, but not everything needs to be audited. So that's why I say it's got to be a strategic automation that you're doing. All right, point two, these are the 4 business systems or workflows that you need to have in your business, really to allow you to have sustainable growth and to allow you to scale the business without burnout. The first business process that you need to have is a client journey system. This really maps out every touch point from the time that someone says, I want to go out of town, until they get back out of town. What are the processes that you have? Now, I'm a business process. I live and breathe this thing. We have some standard business processes that we have designed around our Travel Pro system that handles. We have 5 stages that we've got around this. But this client journey system is critical to your business. This is not just a CRM. So most of you are like, well, I've got Travel Joy that does that for me. I got Turn that does that for me. I even have Travel Pro Suite that does it for me. The problem is that the system is only intended to aid you in the implementation of whatever your process is. You still have to know your process. And what I find, and what I learned the hard way last year with rolling out Travel Pro Suite, is a lot of you all don't even understand what the process of your business is. And, I'm going to ask you a hard question. How many of you are like that? Do you have a workflow that you operate on for every stage of the journey? Right. So we have 5. So our 5 stages are the travel request process. We have a travel request for fits and group leader. We've got a group process. We have payments, how we handle payments. We have client booking, and then we have return home and reputation management. Those are our 5 processes. Do you guys have processes for the client journey? And if the answer that you type in here, or even if you don't type it in, you say, no, not really, and you have Travel Joy or using a system, you probably still aren't even using the system to its fullest extent. Now, I love Travel Pro Suite. It's not for everybody, right? People love Travel Joy, and it's not for everybody. The system is usually, unless there's something really wrong with the system, it's not the system. It's the fact that you need to understand your processes and make sure that you're clear about what you want to do. It's documented, and then you're looking for a system to be able to do that. So The system, all systems will have some limitation potentially. And so do you have to tweak the process? The problem is you start with the system, you start with the CRM system and you want it to solve everything, but you don't even know what is it that you're trying to solve. Right. And so with one of my clients, Alexis, she went through and she actually documented her client journey. She identified 23 points of specific actions, timelines, and responsible parties for each step. What I will tell you too, as a business owner, one of the biggest things I think not only are your clients facing, but you as a business owner are facing is what I call decision fatigue. What do you need to do next? What needs to happen next? Who needs to do what, right? Do you guys have that? Like I have that. And I'm trying to eliminate it as much. I don't want to have to make all of the million micro decisions that I need to make. I want to empower my team to make as many decisions that they need to do without me, right? I've given them the guidance, I've given them the framework, and they can operate with that. I love that. Like that's my goal as the CEO, is to hire people that can make the decisions in the areas of my business that I have given them responsibility to. I don't want to hire people that I have to micromanage. That is a recipe for an immediate fire for me. If I have to micromanage you, you're not saving me time because I don't have time to do. So your client journey is one of the most critical system processes that you have in your business. You need to have an intimate understanding of how you want to run that journey for your client. Number 2 system is content and marketing system. How are you going to get? So there's really 3 phases of a relationship that you have with client: how you attract them, how you relate with them, and how you get them to buy, right? And so content and marketing system is going to tell you how you're going to do that. This is really how you're going to acquire, right? So how you get them, right? Without constant hustle. What's your lead gen, your client, I call it your CAS, your client acquisition system. How are you going to get the people that you want to know that you exist in the marketplace in a consistent way that does not have you tied to Facebook Messenger, right? Or Instagram Messenger. Now, if that's your sales process and that works for you, I'm not saying that, but how do you get them into the inbox, right? How do you consistently do that? How do you get them onto your calendar? If you're doing mostly fits and you want to do discovery calls, how are people getting onto your calendar? This is a perfect opportunity for automations, right? So you want to have a content calendar with pre-planned themes. Like you should not have to be thinking about this week, what the hell am I going to post, right? Like that should already be calendar, right? We literally do our, like this topic that I'm doing now today was planned 3 months ago. Or 2 months ago, whenever I came up with the CEO session, this topic is on, I know topic 6, 7, I actually already have queued season 2 of CEO sessions. That's what a calendar is going to do. There should be, I had a caller yesterday and, she's getting ready to start this whole, documenting her life YouTube channel sort of thing. And I told her, I said, the hardest thing with doing video is the setup, right? So the hardest thing with doing content is the plan of what to say. So a content calendar is going to have what you need to be talking about every month, every week, right? So you don't have to go in, because that's what stops us, right? That's what stops us from doing it. Is like, I don't know what to do. It's another thing I have to do. Remove the decisions from your mind. This week, you're going to talk about Dubai and you're going to talk about Dubai's food. Next week, you're going to talk about entertainment. Next week, right? Do that planning up front in a bulk fashion. We do that. Like I'm coming on the end of this season. So I sat down, couple of hours, planned out season 2, all of it. The whole team now knows what we're going to do. I'm going to batch record all of the promo videos, all of that, and it's going to be done. Because that's my Achilles heel, like recording videos. I frankly don't even like video, but I have really enjoyed this season. Do you know why? Because it's already planned. Like I already know what I'm going to talk about. I don't have to figure it out. That kind of planning takes time, but if you carve out the time, get it, you're going to find that it's less decisions that you have to make, and it's really just about implementation. And then when it comes to implementation, it's more like, where can I get help? What are the things that I don't necessarily like doing? I don't like doing the video editing. My team does that now, right? So now I just do, for season 2, it'll be 12 promo videos, 12 videos of this, 12 videos of that, 12 videos of that. I'll sit down on a Saturday morning. I'll script it all out. I'll record my videos. I'm getting a little bit loose, so even my promo videos won't be as stiff as they were this season. and I'll have it done and the team will take out. Even if I did on staff team, I could go to Upworks, I could go to Fiverr, and I could get somebody to do all the video editing work. So it's not that you have to do all of those things when it comes to your content and marketing system. What you need is a plan of action. I don't hire the plan out. I do the planning. I do the themes, me and ChatGPT, we duke it out, dedicate the time to get done, and I do a quarter at a time. Number 3 system or business process that you need to have in place is your financial management system. This is really going to track your profitability, not just your revenue. Many of you all are focused on how much gross sales. But if you have a relationship with a host agency, just had this conversation with my students yesterday, is if you have a relationship with a host agency, it doesn't really matter what the gross sales are, right? It doesn't even matter like what your the commission is, because you have a split that you have to consider. So you need to understand what those numbers are. You need to, there's this book that I read years ago, which is called Profit First. I love the book. I don't have the name sitting, I'm seeing if I can see it on my library from here. I can't, but Profit First is the name. Find the book. Great book that really talks about how you pay yourself profit first, what you need to do from an accounting perspective to do that. Supplier commission, really understanding, are you with the right suppliers that are maximizing your profit potential? Not every supplier is the right supplier to deliver you the experience that you want and also the numbers that you want. Understanding that and really have a system in place that allows you to do some regular financial reviews, quarterly reviews, even if you're with a host agency, right? And you've got preferred partners. Have you evaluated the relationship to see, I'm using this particular partner. I'm winning awards every single month, right? Is it time for, yes, Mike Michaelwitz. Thank you. Yes, that is him. Profit First, that is the book. And he is thebomb.com. Love that book. I reread it probably every other year just to make sure that I'm still on point. And so my point is that the quarterly reviews, like if you're one of those advisors that's winning awards with your suppliers and your commission rate is still the same, there's an opportunity for you to be considering, one, is it time for you to go independent, right? And then negotiate a higher commission rate with that supplier. That's an opportunity that is something for you to consider, but you need to be having those conversations with yourself and having those review sessions. The 4th system that you need to have in place is a supplier relationship system, which is sort of just leading into what I'm saying here, which is, are you managing your partnerships strategically? Do you have a database of who your key suppliers are with detailed notes, contact information, their special offers? Are you positioned to be able to be in the know when it comes to their properties such that you can pass those on as value adds to your clients, right? Those 4 systems are probably, like I said, the most critical that you need to have in your business, particularly if you are trying to grow the business from where you are. I don't care where you are. If you are from 0 and you want to grow to something, you still need to have these systems. If you want to go from, 10% to 30%, 20%, you still need to have these key systems. These are critical foundational systems that you would have in your business. Now, the 3rd point is really, what's the scalable, or it's just another fancy word for growth? What is your growth implementation plan, right? How are you going to, what are the systems, I'm talking software, the types of systems that you need to have in place that are going to allow you to do that? What are the phases of implementing these systems that will allow you to do? Phase 1 is doing a current audit and prioritization of what you have. We do for our clients, so people are interested in looking at our software solutions or doing professional services with me, is we'll do an audit. We'll look at all of the systems that you have, right? It's called the business system audit. We're going to identify your biggest gaps, right? So we'll discover, like, if you want to do this type of onboarding, what's missing in the system? If you're a fit person and you don't have a travel request process and people are falling through the crack, that's a huge gap. How do we tighten that up? So just really even understanding that you potentially have about 6 to 10 different systems that you're hopping through right now to get one flow done, that's inefficient, right? So That's what an audit is. And so phase one is really making sure that you understand what you're doing today from a systems perspective and seeing what is the most important thing that you need to do. Recipe for disaster is to try and do everything at once. You absolutely do not want to eliminate every single thing that you are doing at one time. You want to put some priority. Phase two is your incremental implementation. So if I say you don't want to do everything at one time, you want to phase in. I'm going to, let's say I want to do travel requests. I want to improve my request process. And my request process right now includes Zoom, Calendly. It includes an order, a survey form. It includes a discovery call, right? All these things are here. I'm going to focus on that. And I want to phase out these three things. These are the most important things. Do not try to overhaul everything at once. Implement one system per month using a minimal viability approach. So that's a really fancy IT term that just says, what's going to give me the best bang for the buck, right, by eliminating it. All right. So if money is your goal, right, you want to consolidate money, right? What's the most expensive tool that I have? And that is only doing one feature. Can I get a tool that will do 2 or 3 of these features and eliminate that feature, right? What you want is minimal dollars, minimal time, biggest bang for your buck in order to do that. All right. Phase 3 of this is everything is always about, you don't do something once, you are continually improving. Just like your marketing, I would say you don't want to do something and this is my saying, don't do the thing without promoting the thing and don't promote the thing without measuring the thing. That applies to systems as well. If you're going to build something, don't wait till everything is done. Your goal is to get it released. Get a feature set released so that you can start using it, right? Obviously not at the detriment of you or your clients, but get the functionality released, assess it, and then refine it. Measure how it's doing. Is it doing what you want it to do? And then make the adjustments and refine. Don't get in a space of analysis paralysis. That's a 90s term I used to hear all the time, which is you're focused on perfection. And as travel advisors, what I know about you all is that you are very artistic, is at the right side of the brain, and not to say that you aren't on the left side, but most advisors love the idea of the design, right? They love the discovery of the design. They love doing the trip design. They love all of that work. And so this process work is like stabbing you in the stomach and then twisting the knife, right? Like nobody wants to do that work. And this is my art, right? Like I love this. The idea is I want you to get your trip ideas to the market as quickly as you can. I want you to get the processes that you try. I want those to get to the market as quickly, because then we get to see what's working, what's not, before we spend a lot of money on automating something, right? So this is phase 3 of this. So now what I want to do is I'm going to launch this next poll. Hopefully this one is done right here. Which one of these do you feel like is the thing that you need to implement immediately? Client journey system, a content marketing system, financial management, supplier, or you just need a team of people to help you get it all portion of it done today. So let's see how this one was set up. Yeah, I think this one was set up the same way because I'm like seeing the numbers there. They're greater than 100. So we're playing with this whole Zoom poll thing, and so this is the first time that we didn't get it so much right. So we're right at 50%, and I'm going to end, which I think that this is pretty predictable. The reason why I think it's predictable is because you said that your biggest concern is doing marketing itself. So the big system that you guys are struggling with is content and a marketing system. So, and then the close second is a client journey system. So really mapping out from, the time they say they want to go out of town till they get back in, what all of those steps need to be inside between that. So the great thing about this is you have this within your control. You can stop the bleed. You can stop the gap. And so here's some of the things that traditionally I get from advisors when I talk to them about this type of framework is that I don't have time to build systems. I don't have time to to build out, a content and marketing system. And I'm already too busy to do that. Like, how many of you guys feel like that? You're like, no, I don't have time for all that. Like, that's too big. That's too big for bigger than me. How many of you guys feel like that's your biggest like internal objection that you have when I talk about these things? Nobody's commenting in comment, or am I missing it? We got a couple of people who are saying, yeah, that feels like you. Yes, it does feel like you. But what I'm going to tell you is that's exactly why you need the system is that you're trapped in an urgency cycle. So if you don't carve or create the time, you're never going to build it. You don't have the time not to build the systems. If you don't do it, there'll never be a time. Just like people say, well, I don't have, it's not the right time to have a baby. It's not the right time to build a system. There's never a right time to do it. You just got to do it. And so you got to create the space to do that. So every day without a proper workflow costs you hours of unnecessary work. So the reason why potentially you're so busy is because you don't have systems in place to help you either automate, delegate, or streamline what you're already doing. So you're doing a lot of potential work that you don't need to be doing in an inefficient way because you haven't built a system around it. And so I've had a travel advisor, her name was Shanice, and so she felt like so busy. Like she was like, I can't Sunday, I can't do this. And what she did is I told her to do what I call time blocking. Asked her to carve out 30 minutes per day to just focus on documentation. That's it. She had to put it on her calendar. I didn't care where it was, but it had to be a time that she could commit to. She ended up committing to first thing in the morning before she went to work. She got up a little bit extra early, did 30 minutes of documentation, started the clock, and she ended it. And then within 3 weeks, she had her onboarding system documented, right? So it's not that she just had it documented. That saves her now 7 hours of work weekly, right? That's like almost 1,400% return on her investment of time. Took her 30 minutes to be able to document something that ultimately saves her 7 hours per week, right? Systems are not a nice to have. They aren't a luxury in your business. There's something that you absolutely have to have as a solution if you don't have enough time already in your business. You cannot continue you cannot see the kind of success that you want without some sort of system in place. And so the number two thing I get from advisors is my business is way too customized. I had a client, the perspective, she ultimately did not become a client, but I remember talking to her, this was about 3 or 4 years ago, and she was like, because I was talking to her about standardizing her process, and she was like, no, Sunday. My stuff is way too custom. I do way too custom stuff to be able to create a system. I do too much personalized services to be able to customize my stuff. And when somebody tells me that, I think you're wrong. Like, I wish I could say that differently, but you're wrong. Just because you personalize something, I was meeting with a client over the weekend, and we were talking about group trips and fit trips, and I was like, okay, you need to create a standard value add-ons, right? You need to have a value library for which that you go through. If you guys have gotten my book, you kind of understand what that value stack is. And I was like, you need to have a value for the group. And she's like, yeah, I get that, Sunday, right? So she's like, I get that, but, I'm doing fits. And I was like, yeah, okay, what's your point? And she's like, well, a fit is, they ask for a custom fill in the blank. And I'm like, yeah, but you still standardize the way that you build out the fit. And you still standardize your choice suppliers that you work with. You still standardize what's included in a package, right? So even though a client personalize that, you still have a standard way by which you deliver. You have a standard by which your suppliers meet your threshold. So if somebody comes with you with a supplier that's below your threshold in terms of quality or whatever your set of standards is, you immediately get a red flag. You immediately say, oh, they want this resort, but I already know about that resort. Or maybe you don't. You go look at it and you're like, right? That's below the standard. So personalization and systemizations aren't opposites. They're partners. And systems can handle consistent 80% so that you can focus on the 20%. So if somebody wants a personalized or customized fill in the blank, you can tweak your standard, your system by which you deliver, right, to accommodate that personalized, but you're not starting from scratch every time you do a custom itinerary or a custom fill in the blank, right? So you can position yourself as the go-to person for your ultra, customization, and you charge accordingly, which I hope if you are doing this type of customization, you are charging accordingly. But again, you can have a process by which you do that when someone says that I need this type of service or this type of fill in blank, it fits into a standard way that you operate. So systemizing the elements is really what I want you to think about, which actually improves personalization, because you now will have more time and energy for true customization. So if you're not having to every single time go to the bank and be like, oh, I've got to do this, I got to do that, right? A trip, don't get me wrong, a trip is not a trip, but a trip is a trip, right? There are components to a trip, there are elements to the trip that when you think about who you are and what you stand for in your business, there should be a framework for which you have designed the way that you're going to operate. All right. All right. I'm going to move it to questions so that we do not run out of time. And so if you have any specific question that you'd like to ask me based on what we've talked about, put them in chat. And then I'm going to go over some of the common questions that I get when I work with clients around this. I'm just looking at chat. So Tanya, to get our Value Vault method book, you can go to onlinetravelboss.com/value vault, and that will take you to our $3 book that talks all about value. It's sort of like a little mini commercial, all about value stacking and making sure that you are pricing on your terms as opposed to just relying on commission rates. All right, so if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat. But here's one of the questions that I often get is, what's the first system I should implement if I'm completely overwhelmed? And I'm going to tell you that the first most important system that you should always start with is your client journey, which is really focusing only on the booking phase. So, because there's multiple parts of the client journey. There's the pre-booking part, there's the booking, and then there's post-booking. For you, if you had to narrow down, what should be the first thing, it should be the booking phase of the client journey. Make sure, and that really is around fulfillment. Somebody says yes to the trip. What are all the things that you need to do? It's called a client journey system. So and the client journey system is from the time they say, I want to work with you, or I'm interested in working with you, until you get them out from home, from out of town. So within that client journey, one of the phases that I think is the most important for you to start on is called the booking phase. That means that they have said, yes, I want to book with you. What are all of the steps that you need to do to fulfill the booking, right? To get them confirmed, get their confirmation with the suppliers, get them booked with the suppliers, get the communication to the clients, but before the trip, all the way up until they get out of town. That's what I would focus on. I would make sure that you map out every step from proposal acceptance to final documentation. So, and I mean final trip documentation, right? What are the templates that you need for communication, checklists, each stage, clear timelines? This should immediately reduce your decision fatigue and creates predictability in the way that you deliver your service. Most critical one, I'm not saying it is the only critical, but it is one of the most critical things that you can do. If you do this well as a travel advisor, you get fulfillment. Like somebody says yes, and they say, yes, I want to work with you. If you have this process down, you are sure to make sure that you've got repeat clients, right? Even if something goes wrong on the booking, right? This process right here ensures predictability for you, and you don't have to worry about, like, one of the things I'll tell advisors is we do. So part of our standard in the client booking phase is like somebody says yes, after we've done the confirmations, we send them a 90, a 45, a 7-day before, 1 day before, day of, 3 days after. Those are all the email communications, right? I don't have to think about, did I send them the email? right? Oh my God, it's 45 days. Did I get the passport? I'm not booking flights, or I am, but like all of that stuff, all of those decisions, those are not worries that we have, right? So number two, okay, so someone says, can you repeat the 5 systems? Martine, I will let you look at the replay for that. But Rhonda asked, is there a recommended site or group to find VAs focused on helping travel advisors? Yes, there are a couple of, I've not used all of these agencies, so I can't personally vouch. We do have a recommendation of a VA team that we use and recommend to our clients. So Rhonda, if you ping me, I will reach out to you. And if you're interested in that, I can make that introduction with that company. If you are comfortable with hiring people, and I would say Upworks is a good place. If you're looking for someone who's specific in the travel industry, there are far few between. There are VA companies that are out there, but there's I think there's probably a whole class I could do just on hiring VAs. So Martine, let me see. You asked for the 5 systems. I got to go back in my notes. So I'm going to let you go back on that. And I think I have it in my notes to repeat them. All right. So the last question that we have time for is, how do I know? Yes. So Adonica, you can reach out to me too. And I can make that introduction to you guys via Facebook. How do I know which tasks to automate versus which need my personal touch? And so here's what I call the value touch analysis, which is you list all client touch points and you rate them on 2 factors: impact on client experience 1 to 10 and revenue influence 1 to 10. Anything scoring below a 6 on both metrics should be automated or delegated. Anything above an 8, you should be doing. It needs to stay with you. So if it's revenue generating, you should be doing it primarily. If it's like conversations directly with clients, you should be doing that. If it's emails that are communicating information about something that you've already got approval from, you could delegate that. Does that make sense? All right, here is your challenge for the week. And as always, I've gone a little bit over, but let me give you your challenge for the week. This week's CEO challenge is for you to create a business systems blueprint. This is the foundation for you to scale, grow your business without burnout. And so this isn't optional. If you're a serious travel CEO and you're ready to make a difference between building a business and creating a hobby, here are your steps that you will follow. If you do not catch all of this, do not worry. I will send this to you all. I will post this inside of our CEO network group. But step 1 is complete the business systems audit. I am going to share the link to that business systems audit template. I'll share that in when I post this challenge for you. And you're going to rate your systems from 0 to 10 and identify your 3 biggest operational gaps. I want you to step 2, choose one system to implement this week. Don't try to fix everything. Focus on your biggest time drain or revenue blocker. And then your step 3 is to create a minimal viable system for you to work on. This means documenting the current process. So let's say, for example, one of them could be, let's say, your discovery calls, right? It's taking you forever to get somebody booked on a discovery call. You do fits primarily, and you want to do that. You want to document how you do that. Like, how are you getting people from a messenger to a call? Are you doing that all through text messages? What are you doing? Identify 3 biggest inefficiencies and create simple solution for each. All right. And then step 4, which is the big one, I want you to block 3 90-minute sessions on your calendar this upcoming week to work on the system. I like 90-minute blocks. I actually, when I'm about to do something, I block out 3-hour blocks. If you do not have the time to do that, even if you don't have 90 minutes, commit to a block of 3 blocks of whatever time commitment. If you have to start off with 30 minutes, start off with 30 minutes. But if you can do 90 minutes is a really good solid amount of time that you can do uninterrupted. All right. Post your completed audit in the CEO community. Put a hashtag systems first And then you post a link in there, I will take a look at it. That is my commitment to you all. All right, this is a challenge. This is not negotiable. Do not cut off this thing and be like, wow, this was a really great session. And then you do nothing and you're one of the people that says that you are overwhelmed. Listen, what I've shared today is what I not only do myself, this is what I teach my students, this is what I work with my clients with. And so what I've done is I've created what I refer to as a VIP day. And that VIP day is to help those serious CEOs, travel CEOs who are really ready to take this to a stress-free growth model. And if you are, what you need to do is just type VIP, let me know, I'll reach out to you, and then we will spend some time together to determine if this is the right solution for you. How a VIP day works is that we spend about 6 hours, usually, depending on your schedule, it'll be between 4 and 6 hours. If to break it up, we will. But typically, it's a day session where we map out all of your systems. We create your workflows. We work through what those workflows need to do. And we're looking at strategic automation opportunities so that we can streamline your work week. We build out at least an outline for your content and marketing system. And then we make sure that you've got a foundation for your financial management system. So I don't have a lot of spots open for this. I only have 3 VIP spots open. So if you are interested in VIP day, just type in VIP and then I will reach out to you all later. Listen, we went over 3 things today. We went over systems before scale, create operational infrastructure before pursuing growth. We also went over document before delegating, right? You can't outsource what you haven't already determined that you want to systemize. And then third is simplicity beats complexity. The best systems reduce your decisions that you need to make, not create more decisions for you. Your business should serve your life, not consume it. So listen, next Wednesday, we're going to talk about high ticket packages, creating premium travel offers that sell. So you're going to learn exactly how to structure travel package that command you high fees while delivering exceptional client experiences. The session is going to be one that you're not going to want to miss. We're almost on the down end of our first season. Listen, do not forget to fill out the survey before you go. It should take you just about a minute or two. Your feedback, I read everybody's survey comments. It is invaluable to me. It allows me to make the changes that we need to make to the content that we create to you. Listen, I have enjoyed this so far. I'm going to just pause for a second and ask, how are you guys feeling? Are you guys enjoying the series? Or you can let me know in the survey as well. How are you guys enjoying this? And if anyone wants to come off of mute, ask me a question. I think we did that a couple of sessions ago and people seem to enjoy that. So I have about a good 5-10 minutes I can dedicate for this before I have to run. Anybody want to come off mute, ask me a question? If not, I will let you go.
Andy, I just want to verbally express the gratitude I have for you and appreciate what you do. And I'm taking in everything that you have spoken to me, and I will take the initiative to implement. I have enjoyed the CEO series sessions. Like I mentioned to you before, I've been following you for years, and I'm just now applying and being engaged to what you have to offer. And what you have to offer is a lot, and I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think that was Martine who was speaking. Thank you.
Honey, this is Yolanda.
Hey, Yolanda, how are you?
How can I be a part of this community? It's been a minute. I've been going through a lot. I'm still independent, but
I am typing. I just put the link and put it out there in the Zoom room right now. So it's onlinetravelbots.com/CEO network.
And if I have trouble with the login, you want me to just reach out? I don't know if it's the old login that I used to use or do I need to do a whole new one?
Yeah, send me an email and I will see what email address that you've got, and that will be the login that you use for that.
And your series always been the bomb. So if y'all new to her, stick with her because she is amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Yolanda. All right. I don't think you guys have any. I'm so happy while on PTO. Awesome, Rhonda. It's so good to see you staying connected. And everyone, have a great rest of your week. I'm getting some dirty eyes from my husband, so I'm going to skedaddle out of here. And I will see you guys next Wednesday. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.
We've unveiled the secrets to scaling smart. Are you ready for personalized growth strategies? Book a VIP day today. Next week, we're going to be busting the top travel advisor myths. Don't miss this myth busting session.